Hi, I'm Caroline Wallace, Naturopath here at Remede Wellness Medicine, and today I'm going to talk about how to support your sleep naturally. So we're going to talk about how much sleep you need, the stages of sleep, what our circadian rhythm is, what disturbs our sleep, and what happens when we don't get enough sleep. Sleep is one of our key pillars of health, along with nutrition, movement, social connections, and it's something we often think we can just put on the back burner and make up our sleep debt when we feel like it. But we really can't. If you're feeling like this cat, you've got some issues. So how common are sleep disturbances? Really common. About a third of Australians claim to have poor sleep, and 20% of Australians suffer from insomnia. And this lack of adequate sleep is actually costing our economy. A Deloitte survey back in 2019 to 2020, they calculated the cost of lack of sleep to $75.5 billion that year. So it is definitely a real issue. So first of all, we're going to have a look at sleep myths. So sleep myth number one, you must fall asleep as soon as you get into bed. Now, if you are falling asleep as soon as your head hits the pillow, you may in fact not be getting enough sleep. It should take you anywhere between 5 to 15 minutes to fall asleep while you're winding down from the day. Myth number two, it doesn't matter what time you get to bed, just as long as you get 8 hours sleep. This is a myth because it does matter what time you get to bed, and we'll talk about that a little bit later as well. We're designed to sleep in accordance with our circadian rhythm, and our peak sleep occurs before midnight. So getting to bed before 10 o'clock is the best way to make sure you ride your sleep wave. Myth number three, I can always catch up on the weekend and have a nap. Now, while napping is effective, and it's an effective way to boost our energy and have a little rest, doing this instead of getting quality sleep isn't productive. We actually need to go through the stages of sleep, our non-REM and REM sleep, for optimal health. Unless you are actually waking to care for parents, children, stick to sleeping at night time. And also, catching up on the weekend doesn't help in the long term. Being consistent with your sleep will help way more with your energy and your well-being. Myth number four, a tipple before bed. Now, alcohol may help you get to sleep, but it doesn't help you get quality sleep. And it is, as the alcohol is processed, it disturbs your sleep. And in fact, studies have shown that if you spend a lot less time in your REM sleep when you've been drinking. And myth number five, a hot bath before bed will help me sleep. Now, while this sounds lovely and relaxing, increasing your core body temperature will actually prevent you from getting to sleep, as our body temperature needs to be lower in order to get to sleep. So how much sleep do we really need? Now, sleep varies with age. As you can see from the slide, the older we get, the less sleep we need. But what we still need is quality sleep for optimal health. Research over the last 20 years has shown that about 28% of adults are continuously getting only 6 hours of sleep a night. And these stats are unfortunately pre-pandemic, but I can assume it's actually even higher now, that people are just not getting enough sleep. So now that we see we need probably more sleep than we're getting, how do we sleep? Now, there are actually 4 stages of sleep. Stage 1, which is when we first doze off, you're actually entering a dreamless stage of sleep. It should be about 5 to 10 minutes. And this is the stage of the night where you might move around a bit and wriggle, and you're starting to disconnect from the outside world. We're asleep, but we can wake up in a second. Then stage 2, this is a fairly light stage of sleep. It lasts for anywhere between 15 to 25 minutes. And this is a stage that we actually spend a lot of the night in, and it's preparing our body to enter a deeper sleep. Our heart rate slows down, our body temperature drops, and this is the stage where if you're taking a power nap during the day, make sure you wake up in this stage of sleep. Otherwise, you end up with that sleep inertia and wake up feeling really groggy and sluggish. The brain waves are also changing, and there are moments of activity called sleep spindles and K complexes, which are said to be really important for memory consolidation as well. So if you're planning a nap, this is the time to wake up, between that 20 to 25 minutes. And then, as you can see, going to stage 3 sleep. Now this is our deepest, most restorative sleep. This can last anywhere between 20 to 40 minutes. We've got limited muscle movement, and it's also when our breathing really slows down and the brain starts to generate our slow delta waves. And importantly, during this time, our body is going into that repair and regeneration of tissues. This is when we produce human growth hormones, which is really key for our kids and teens, so getting good sleep does help. And you begin production around 10 o'clock, and peaking anywhere between 11 p.m. to 1:30. So you see, really getting your sleep before midnight is quite important. And then our stage 4 sleep. This is our REM sleep. This is where we're dreaming. So this is where our brain actually becomes quite active, and our heart starts to beat faster, breathing becomes irregular, our eyes move rapidly, and our brain is very active, and this is when we have those really vivid dreams. At this stage, our brainstem actually switches off our muscles, which stops you from acting out your dreams. I know it feels like we're moving when we're dreaming, but you're actually not, because no one wants to fall out of bed. And during this time, our brain actually uses all of our experiences during the day, like our life scenarios, and it makes us think it's all real, which is why we have the impression that our dreams last for a really long time and that it's reality. However, it's not. It's our brain really sorting through what's been going on in the day. So you can see from this that our sleep has a cycle, which brings us into the next cycle, which is our circadian rhythm. Now, the circadian rhythm, this is our internal sleep-wake cycle. It's governed by 2 very important hormones, cortisol and melatonin, and it's set by our exposure to daylight. So as you can see, they work in the opposite direction. Cortisol, it's our get up and go, and melatonin helps us sleep. And we really want to have these hormones in balance to have optimal sleep. So as you can see, cortisol rises at 6 a.m, gets you up, gets you going in the day, and drops slowly throughout the day. This is how our cortisol is meant to function. And then around 4 o'clock in the afternoon, as the lights begin to dim, our melatonin starts to rise, and it's released from an area in the brain called the suprachiasmatic reticulum. It's a mouthful. And it peaks between about 10 p.m. to midnight. And this is what keeps you asleep. And it allows your body to go through cellular repair, and then our cycle all starts again with a melatonin drop and our cortisol rise. So why don't we get good night's sleep? There's lots and lots of reasons. Number 1, getting woken up by children, pets, snoring. I'm sure lots of people know this one. Another one, sleep apnea. This is actually associated with snoring, and it's actually when you stop breathing and then you start again. It's really not good for your blood pressure, and it also increases fatigue due to lack of oxygen to the brain. Number 3, restless legs. This is where you get that irresistible need to move your legs all the time, and it gets worse at night. It's actually been included as one of the reasons for sleep loss in that Deloitte paper that I mentioned before on sleep. Number 4, lack of sleep pressure. I'll talk a bit about this one in a moment as well. This is when you are just not doing enough throughout the day to create that real feeling of tiredness to get to sleep. Another reason, number 5, stress and anxiety from your personal life, work pressures can be a cause of not sleeping well. Medications are another thing. So ADHD medications or blood pressure medications, always good to take them in the morning. Some antidepressants, SSRIs are known for disturbing sleep. So there's lots of different reasons. Pain, another cause of sleep loss and illness. Even though we really need good sleep when we are unwell, being unwell can actually disturb our sleep too, sort of resulting in that poor quality sleep. Foods, this is a big one that we all know about, with caffeine, sugar, even super spicy foods can be quite stimulatory. And when consumed too late at night in the afternoon, they can disturb your sleep too. Caffeine actually has a half-life of about 5 hours, and in a healthy person, they can usually process it. If you've got a gene called the CYP1A2 gene, it's actually the slow metabolizer. So if you've got that, you don't metabolize caffeine really well. So it's not good to have anything after 12 o'clock during the day if you want to get a good night's sleep that night. There's other things like jet lag, too much stimulation before bed, like gaming, using your phone, watching scary TV shows. And as I mentioned before, when you dream, you shuffle through things in your brain that you've been dealing with during the day. So if you're up at night watching all those true life crime stories, that sort of thing, you may wonder why you're not being able to sleep, and that could be one of the reasons. Another reason you may not be able to sleep well, obviously alcohol, hormones, especially during perimenopause and menopause, and the list goes on. So what are the sort of things that happen when we don't get enough sleep? Fatigue, it's an obvious one. The less sleep you have, the greater sleep pressure, which we'll talk about. And the greater fatigue, the knock-on effects to so many different aspects in your life. Reduced reaction time. Now this is really important when you're driving a vehicle, also for medical practitioners, nurses, doctors. Fatigue reduces reaction time and contributes to about 20 to 30% of all deaths and severe injuries on the road. And there's been studies saying that about 28% of Australians have admitted to having a micro-sleep while driving. Now that's pretty scary. Lack of sleep also causes poor concentration. Now this is a big issue for kids and teens especially, and uni students that like to burn the candle at both ends. So staying up all night to work on an exam can often be a little bit counterintuitive when you actually process your information in your sleep far better. So you really need to get through all those 4 stages of sleep for good memory storage. Poor sleep contributes to mood disturbances. Even one night without sleep can really increase anxiety, irritability, and ongoing can add to depression too. There's a reason why sleep deprivation was used as a form of torture. I see this with my own kids. Whenever they get a late night and an early morning, they are beyond irritable, and it's just not pleasant. Weight gain. I'm sure you'll be able to relate to this one when after a night of no sleep, you feel like you could eat anything and everything in the fridge, just never feeling full, and trying to make up for that lack of energy. And we make poor choices when we're tired as well. Lack of sleep has hormonal repercussions as well. It has an effect on our nervous system, which can have a knock-on effect with our hormones as well. And cardiovascular disease and blood pressure can also be increased when you have lack of sleep as well. Another really important aspect of getting to sleep is sleep pressure. And this is something I've mentioned a couple of times already. So what is sleep pressure? Sleep pressure is the accumulation of all the things that you do during the day to add to tiredness and to make yourself sleep. So if you look at the diagram there, we have process S. As you can see, in the morning when you wake up, it's really low. And then you go about your day, exercising, working, studying, even if you've been unwell. All of these things add to your sleep pressure and it starts to build. So you can see by 11 o'clock, it's really high, and then you start to go to sleep and the sleep pressure starts to drop. And then the process starts all over again. So as you can see, when you don't go to sleep and in sleep deprivation, the line keeps going up and up and up until it gets too much and you do fall asleep. Now, if you've been up for whatever reason, children, illnesses, partying all night, and the next day it becomes really difficult to keep yourself awake, what can we do to help get good sleep? Now I'm going to divide this into 3 areas. Into sleep hygiene, so all the tools that you use to avoid having poor sleep and getting out of those sleep habits. And then there's cognitive behavioural therapy for insomnia. This is another great tool, and it helps with dealing with sleep onset and sleep maintenance issues. And finally, what sort of foods we can have, herbs, nutritional supplements, those sorts of things. Sleep hygiene. One of the best things you can do is to have a regular routine. We all love routine, and what this does is it works in with your circadian rhythm. So first thing in the morning, when you wake up, get outside and expose your eyes to daylight. What this does is help to actually set you up for a good sleep. It suppresses your melatonin, which is really important, and especially if you're getting up to go straight to work. It only takes a few minutes and it tells your body that you are up and ready to start the day. Avoid blue light. So blue light's emitted from all of our devices, from our iPads to our computers to the iPhones. And what this does is it starts to disturb the production of melatonin and down-regulate that. So this is messing around with a circadian rhythm. Now this is really important for the teenagers, especially those who struggle to wind down. So if this is the case, switch your phone over to night mode or your computer over to night mode, which actually puts almost like a yellowish colour on it. And this doesn't affect melatonin production. And then stop the late night TikTok and Instagram scroll with the blue lights. It's not helping you get to sleep. Another thing that helps with our melatonin production is switching over our home lighting. So if you're using those overhead bright lights, try using lamps, candlelight, because those things actually disturb our melatonin production. So if you've got a really bright room at 6 p.m. in the afternoon, you're just not going to produce melatonin as quickly. Also, you could try using blue light blocking glasses. There's lots of different ones around. One brand's Baxter Blue. They can come without magnification and they're really good when you need to sort of work on the computer at night, or if you're going out to supermarkets, their lights are really, really bright. And they can really help with that as well. And another good thing is to start looking at how your cortisol production, so stress management is really important to address, especially if this is your issue for when you're going to sleep. So once you've addressed all of those sleep hygiene issues, something else to have a look at is the cognitive behavioural therapy for insomnia. So this is a program that's often run online, and what it does is it takes you through the process of changing your thought patterns about sleep. Also teaching you relaxation techniques. It does focus on sleep hygiene as well and habits, and teaches you about the connections between thoughts, feelings, behaviour and sleep. It's a really good tool to run alongside the other interventions like your supplements, the foods you're eating, the way you're sleeping, that sort of thing. Two key elements to the CBTI are the stimulus control and sleep restriction. So stimulus control is where we challenge the link between the bedroom being a stressful place or a calm place. We want to make the link between your bedroom and your bed in particular being a place for sleep, for calm, for relaxation. So this is for all the people who have a TV in their bedroom, study in bed, all those kind of things. The association with your bedroom and your bed becomes that of being awake, alert, aroused, especially if you're watching murder mysteries in bed, rather than a place of sleep. And when this is done all the time, it can become quite chronic. You can also, it is also good to challenge that I can't fall asleep pattern or I can't fall asleep easily thoughts. And that's what this program does. It challenges those kind of thoughts. Another key element is sleep restriction. Now, this involves initially reducing the time spent in bed. It's to help you improve your efficiency of sleep. So previously, if you were spending 9 hours in bed and only getting 5 hours of sleep, you would actually go to bed later, but still get up at the same time. And then once you are tireder and your sleep efficiency is increased, you can increase the time in bed. It's just adding to your sleep pressure to help you to get to sleep and to stay asleep. So what happens if you do wake up in the night? Number one, don't clock watch. This adds to your anxiety, and often the blue light from your phone or the light that you turn on will wake you up and keep you more stimulated. If you are in bed for longer than 15 to 20 minutes, get up, go and do something really quiet, preferably not on your phone and not with a TV. This will actually cool down your body, which is really important if you are hot, because we need to be cooler to get to sleep. And it also helps to reset your brain. And it's taking away the anxiety of lying in bed thinking, I'm not going to sleep, I'm not going to sleep. And we find that once you start that I have to sleep, it's all over and you often won't sleep at all. So doing something really boring as a distraction, fold the washing, always works for me. Getting cooled down also really helps you get back into sleep. And then when you're feeling a little bit tired, go back to bed. And when you go back to bed, you can try doing some relaxation, some breathing techniques, those kind of things, but aim for rest, not sleep. Especially if you've woken around that 3 to 4 a.m. mark and your sleep pressure is actually quite reduced, it's a good idea to aim for rest, not sleep. Now, there's actually a concept called sleep state misperception. When this kicks in, you feel like you haven't gone to bed, you haven't slept, but actually you will drop off to sleep without realizing it. And all of a sudden you notice it's 7 a.m. and you're getting out of bed. So that is a key way to actually look at those nighttime wakings, especially if they are far into the night and it's getting closer to morning. Concentrate on resting. So if you are waking, have a look at any other issues, like are you eating too late at night? Do you get reflux? Do you need to prop up the bed? Have you had a drink or two? Is that affecting liver detox between 1 and 3 a.m.? Napping, did you get a couple of naps in during the day? This reduces your sleep pressure. Stimulants, is it to do with medication or caffeine, those kind of things. All those things can affect your sleep. And once you start addressing them one by one, you'll find what works for you. Another great tip is if you are having sleep problems, start with a diary. Start writing down every night how many hours you had of sleep, how many times you woke up, what you ate that night, how tired you felt during the day, did you have a real energy drop after lunch? Have a look and see what you're eating. And when you can start to address all those other things like, oh, I drank a cup of tea at 3 o'clock in the afternoon and that's possibly what kept me up, or I had coffee late in the arvo, that may have kept you up. So just addressing all those little things together can make a big difference. So what foods can help you sleep? Foods that promote sleep will of course be individual choices, but diets high in complex carbohydrates like fibre, healthy fats, your avocados, olive oils, nuts and seeds, and protein, a good adequate protein, are all associated with better quality sleep. So high fibre, veggies, sort of those anti-inflammatory nutrients, your berries, and low in saturated fats, Mediterranean diet, all will help you sleep better. Studies on kids have found that those with highly processed diets and constant snacking often had really poor quality sleep. So other foods that can help you get to sleep, so things like turkey. So turkey actually contains something called tryptophan, which is one of our precursors to serotonin, which then goes on to be made into melatonin. And also things like tart cherry juice, which can also support melatonin production. Almonds, walnuts, they're a great source of protein and essential fatty acids, and walnuts are obviously great for the brain too. They can really help. And even warm milk. Warm milk contains tryptophan, which can also help with getting to sleep. As long as you've got no issues with milk, it's lovely. So the main takeaway from the diet is to eat a balance of protein, fats, healthy carbs, and of course balance your blood sugar too. Now, there are lots of beautiful calming herbs that we can use to support your sleep. Just a few of those. Chamomile. It's really calming, it's great in a tea, especially for calming irritable teething children. It is a lovely one to have for gut health as well. Lavender can be used in a tea or a herbal supplement. Essential oils as well, that works beautifully on a tissue shoved in your pillowcase. Vetiver is another great essential oil to encourage sleep. I actually do that quite often with my kids and put it in their pillowcase, especially if they're feeling a bit unsettled. Another fantastic herb is valerian. It's quite sedating and it also helps with anxiety. It does have a very strong scent. You always know when it's opened in the dispensary, but it can really help you to get to sleep and to stay asleep. There are some people, however, that it has the opposite effect on and can make them hyperactive. So just make sure you work this out before trying it for the first time on like a long-haul flight or something. Another fantastic herb for sleep is lemon balm. This has been a bit in the press in the last few years. Really great for helping with stress and anxiety as well. So you can use it in a herbal, in tea, or in a tablet as well. And it's just a lovely addition to have. Just be careful if you've got some thyroid issues though, because it can affect that too. Passion flower, another beautiful herb, especially if you're feeling very irritable, anxious and unable to settle. Passion flower and valerian work really well together for helping you to get to sleep and to stay asleep as well. Now for supplements and for nutrients, magnesium is the big one. I love magnesium. It supports our neurotransmitters for sleep. It also helps relax our muscles. So if you've got that restless legs, it can really help. You can find it in plenty of foods like your avocados, green leafy vegetables, legumes, nuts. But if you're particularly stressed and not eating an optimal diet, 200 to 300 milligrams a day is safe, and there's lots of different forms. I love the diglycinate form, because glycine also helps, which we'll talk about in a moment. It's easily digested and it doesn't usually cause a stomach upset as well. Another great nutritional is L-theanine. Now this is an amino acid, it's found in green tea. This helps to act on our GABA receptors, and now GABA is our beautiful calming neurotransmitter that reduces anxiety, and it also helps with insomnia. This is a really important one for perimenopause and menopause. As our progesterone drops, our GABA also is affected, so it can affect your sleep. So you can, as I said before, you can get L-theanine from green tea. Just be aware that green tea does have a little bit of caffeine in it, which may not be ideal if you're super sensitive to it, but otherwise it's a great option. Another nutritional which is fantastic for sleep is glycine. Now this is a non-essential amino acid, which means that we do actually produce some internally, but it also supports our sleep. Researchers have actually found that glycine induces REM sleep, and it reduces the time to enter that sleep as well. It helps to lower the body temperature. They still don't know exactly how it works, but it is safe. Up to 3 grams a day of glycine has that desired effect. It can be found in red meats, seeds, turkey, chicken, even peanuts have glycine in there as well. L-theanine and glycine work beautifully together. Now GABA, as I mentioned before, is another one that is great for sleep. It's an amino acid and it acts in the brain, it regulates our nervous system, and acts on calming and improving our sleep quality and that REM sleep. So having this about an hour before sleep can really help. Now another one that you've probably heard of before, and we mentioned melatonin, is obviously we produce it internally. This is one that you can get through your GP as well. It's recently become available in pharmacies for over the 55-year-olds, and it's very helpful for resetting that circadian rhythm with jet lag, and it's being used a lot more often. It's not addictive, but there's always a risk of you're using it consistently. Is it becoming a bit of a habit as well? I'd suggest no more than probably 12 weeks just to get yourself back into a really good habit. You shouldn't need it for that long. Melatonin is a great one to have in the toolkit too. So what are some other options? Things like infrared light. It's been shown to increase melatonin production in some small studies. But the benefit of light therapy has been around for a while, especially in the Northern Hemisphere when there is a lack of natural light in winter time. It can contribute to depression, lack of vitamin D, and cause seasonal affective disorder, or SAD. Infrared saunas are great for supporting sleep too. Saunas, they really help too. They help with detoxifying. We have the Sunlighten one here at the clinic, so you get the best of both worlds. Just drink lots of water with that one. Massage can be really relaxing, and anything that supports switching on that parasympathetic nervous system is really going to help you to manage your cortisol and really help you to manage your sleep too. Another great one is ambient sound or white noise in really loud environments. This sort of encourages the brain to filter the noises and improves your ability to get back to sleep on waking. And there's lots of different types of noise as well. I know brown noise is one that's been that I actually recommend to a lot of my ADHD clients. And it's a great non-pharmacological or supplement-based thing, and so it can be really worth giving a try, especially with kids. So in summary, sleep is essential for optimal health, and a lack of sleep affects every system in our body. We really can't go without sleep for too long. So when you do have sleep issues, just start with the basics and do what you can. But if you need help with getting to the root cause of your sleep issues, we can always help. Thanks for listening.